we were not sure if we were going to be able to, really get these women who had gone through this to trust us. And I think that making this film was about really putting the women at the center of the story, and letting them tell their own story and letting it unfold.
I really wanted to use this as an educational moment for survivors to understand what it does look like and how we can make change for the future. And I think that the documentary is going to be an amazing point for that.
But I remember Amanda called and grilled me, and I was literally on the treadmill, and I started to sweat, not because of the exercise, but because Amanda was calling me and saying, okay, like, what do you want to do with this? What do you, is there an angle, if any? And like, really was empowered to ask the tough questions that you guys had too, but like, you can speak to that.
I just wanted to make sure that if our stories were being used, that it was going to be used in a way that was going to empower other victims and also hold enablers and predators accountable. So I just wanted to make sure that I trusted you with our story.
I mean, as you should, and I think that's great. And I think that I completely honor each one of these women and all the women featured in the film. I think that a huge part of the story is the judge's courtroom, and it was precedent setting for survivors to be heard. But like, Judge, you do that in all of your court cases, and so like, that's something that I didn't understand and didn't know, and so I was like, oh, like, it's going to be interviews with survivors, but it's also going to be like survivors standing up and confronting their abuser in open court. Like, I had never seen anything like that.
And that's something I've always done, but it's a way that survivors can have restitution, not money, because money doesn't make them whole, but saying, you hurt me and I'm mad and this is what you did, and taking a piece that was taken from them, taking that back is so powerful. And they really gave that back to each other and to the world by speaking, and they took away from him the control that he had.
I think any survivor, when they have to talk about what they've been through, you can't really help but go back into the time that you were in. For me, it was specifically one appointment. It was just a couple hours of my life, but every time I talk about it, I do go right back there. And I think that it's very important that we are mindful when we are talking to survivors that every time we ask them to speak about it, we are also asking them to relive their trauma. Luckily, Erin did it in a great way that made us feel comfortable, and we trusted her with our story. But it is, every time we speak about this, we have to remember this is the worst thing that's ever happened to us, and we're here talking about it.
For me, Judge Aquilina's courtroom was by far the scariest thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and I've done lots of backflips on balance beams. And
yes, you
flips
have.
In the air.
I have the video to prove it.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest, at first I was scared I was going to mispronounce her name. It's Judge Aquilina, for everyone that needs to know that. And also, too, I was scared to have a conversation with him, but I went there to only talk to him, nobody else. And I knew that it was going to go either really bad or really good. And unfortunately, it was pretty traumatic, I think, for myself, but also for everyone that watched. And then going into Erin's interview for the documentary, it was so dark. The interview for me was my darkest moment. And I think with the documentary, that's been my biggest fear of seeing myself in that space, because I've come a long way since that time.
And I think Trinae, for me, was one of the most impactful because her approach was different. They all impacted me, and I think the world, but her approach was really, my friend, what have you done? And it was the only time I saw him tear up, and really, she hit his heart.
And break down. I mean, he had a complete and total reaction to this. It almost felt like in real time he was confronted what he'd actually done. Like, he was able to distance when it came to other people, and like, but with a family friend, he could not. The world has taken notice after what took place in that courtroom. And the film serves as a holding power to account, whether that be MSU, USOC, or the USAG. I think that the world of USA Gymnastics is irrevocably shaken. And it's up to the people that are still involved to rebuild it. But I really don't think it can be the same group of people. I think it has to be a new crop and a new citizens that care about the sport and love the sport, because it's beautiful and it's something that is incredibly remarkable. But I am not convinced that anybody that was a part of the former should be a part of the present.